Welcome to Brightline Bites Live. My name is Becky. I'm part of the Brightline Eating social media team, and I'm here with you today to show you an awesome Brightline Eating friendly recipe. Brightline Eating follows 4 basic principles when it comes to our food, 4 bright lines. They are no sugar, no flour, we only eat meals, no snacking, and everything we eat is weighed or measured. So those are the 4 bright lines, and Brightline Bites is a hashtag that a lot of our community uses to help each other find recipes and meal ideas that are compliant with the 4 bright lines and with the meal plans. Usually the weight loss meal plan, also we have a maintenance meal plan, but everybody's maintenance program looks a little bit different. Once you get to your bright body and you're transitioning onto maintenance, your plan might look a little bit different than someone else's plan. So the recipe I'm going to show you today is compliant with the weight loss plan. Let's see. So the Brightline Bites hashtag is how we came up with this idea for Brightline Bites Live, where we, the social media team at Brightline Eating, can help you out with those recipes and meal ideas and show you some food prep techniques that'll help you to support your journey on Brightline Eating. And you can also search that hashtag and find a whole bunch of other people's ideas, meal ideas, beautiful pictures, and all sorts of great support for your journey. So today we are going to be making a recipe that's a favorite of my family's. And this is a recipe that we sort of came up with ourselves after some experimenting. So I'll explain that as I go along here making this dish. It's called, well, it originally was called chicken tortilla soup. I don't know what makes a soup tortilla. Do you put tortillas in it? That's not compliant with Brightline Eating. It's kind of a Tex-Mex chicken taco sort of flavor soup. And my husband and I have made this recipe so that we can have it for dinner, which means that it has enough vegetables and protein and fat in it for us to have it as a dinner meal, just a bowl of soup as our dinner meal. And it's super hearty and very satisfying. And it's really yummy. And it's super easy to make. It's really easy to make. And we'll cook a batch of it, and then we'll have it usually for a couple of nights in a week. Because then it's super easy to just pre-portion those and throw them in the fridge, and then you can reheat them for dinner, and you're good to go. And automaticity is all kicked in, and everybody's loving life. So I just want to also remind you, since you're joining me here today on Facebook Live, there are a lot of other places. If you're like, yes, I'm loving this Brightline Eating stuff, I want to learn more, I want to get just fully immersed in this Brightline Eating world, there's a lot of other ways that you can connect with us, some of which are new, some of which you might not know about yet. We have our Facebook page. We have a public Facebook group. We also have an Instagram with a lot of cool stuff on there. And we have a YouTube channel where after this video is done, you can find this video there, other Brightline Bites Live videos, Facebook Live interviews that Susan Pierce Thompson does with members of our community, Facebook Lives with Susan's weekly vlog, all sorts of videos up on YouTube. We have a Twitter account. You can join our email list. And we also have a brand new TikTok channel. So you can check that out if you're into TikTok as well. All the links for all of those social media channels are up in the description. I think it's that way. It might be that way. Up in the description, check out the links and go follow us in all those places and just really get immersed into this whole BLE world. So what I like to do with this recipe is measure out my ingredients into a big mixing bowl, and you'll see why in a sec. And then I'm going to cook the soup in this big old soup pot back here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about a little bit is portions. This is a dinner meal. So on the weight loss plan, a vegetable portion, you get 6 ounces of veggies and 8 ounces of salad. Now, if you want, you can combine all that together and have 14 ounces of veggies. It doesn't have to be, raw salad greens as your 8 ounces. It doesn't have to be. So you can just say, I get 14 ounces of veggies on my weight loss meal plan for dinner. So that's what we're going to put into this soup is 14 ounces of veggies. Now, also, I'm going to make 6 portions at once. So we just need to do a little bit of math here. 14 ounces of veggies times 6 portions is 84 ounces of veggies. So what I'm going to do first is measure 84 ounces of veggies into this big mixing bowl. And I have this on my digital OXO scale, which has a big capacity here. If I need to, I can pull out the front plate. This is the one that Susan uses as well. Super convenient, really Really great for when you're doing bright line eating. So what I start with in this chicken taco soup is what we're going to call it. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I'm going to show you how you can also make this a whole food plant-based meal. And I just remembered I'm missing one of my ingredients. Uh-oh, I'll have to grab it later. I try to get everything all ready. Sometimes we forget something, that's life. Okay, so first thing I'm going to put in is my veggies. I'll put in diced tomatoes. And this is a 14 and a half ounce can of diced tomatoes. I did not drain these. I'm just going to dump those in. And these happen to be fire roasted. My grocery store, I shop at Wegmans, carries these. They're fire roasted. It adds a little bit more flavor, but you can use any type of diced tomatoes. It's perfectly fine. The next ingredient I'm going to put in is Rotel. Now Rotel is available in a few different flavors. This is diced tomatoes with green chilies. Mild, because I personally find that anything more than mild is too hot for me. They come in medium, they come in hot, they come in, I don't know, a couple different types of flavors. This is a 10-ounce can of Rotel. So I'm going to put the whole recipe, all the ingredients, all the measurements and everything into the description when the video is done. So you don't need to write this down. You don't need to memorize it. There will not be a quiz later. I'll put all the ingredients in the description when we're done with the video today. Next is just a can of corn. This is a 15-ounce can of corn. And then how this recipe started was we were going camping and we needed some dinner recipes. I'm going to add some fire roasted poblanos. So now at this point you could add, goodness, can I get this straight in front of the camera? There we go. Fire roasted poblanos. You can put in any type of, I'm going to do peppers and onions next. Any type of peppers and onions are fine. I like the poblanos, add a little bit of heat, but not too much. And the fire roasted adds a nice little bit of flavor. You can put in any kind of peppers. Bell peppers, you can get, we've made it with fresh poblanos before as well. So this recipe started, these are onions, chopped onions, frozen. This recipe started, we needed a recipe for camping. We like to camp a lot and we often cook in a Dutch oven over the fire when we're camping. And next I'm going to put in fire roasted diced red bell peppers. We have also in place of this in the past used the like roasted red peppers that come in a jar. I don't like those as much because they're usually packed in oil, and so then I end up rinsing them and patting them dry, and it's kind of just a pain. So we're now up to 66 and a half ounces, 66.6. I'm just going to keep adding veggies until I get to 84 because that's what we need for our 6 servings. So I have a little bit more onions here. So anyway, we started Googling, you know, what kind of recipes are good in a Dutch oven. I started finding these recipes, camping recipes for, they were called like 6-can taco soup and 7-can taco soup and stuff. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put in a little bit more tomatoes here to get us up to 84. And these recipes looked pretty compliant. It was just a matter of doing the math and figuring out how to make these recipes BLE compliant. A little bit over, I'll grab a tomato out, another tomato. There we go, 84 ounces of veggies. So that was just another can of the fire roasted diced tomatoes. So yeah, I found these recipes for 6-can chicken taco soup or chicken tortilla soup, whatever they were calling it, 7-can chicken soup. If you like Google that, you'll find a million recipes. You don't need to Google it because I've done all the work here and made it compliant for you. And we also switched over to when we're making it at home, we'll use the frozen bagged veggies because we need so much veggies in a Bright Line Eating meal that just a whole ton of cans wasn't cutting it. So I am going to dump these 84 ounces of veggies into my big old stock pot back here. Okay, veggies in the stock pot. I'm going to actually get this started on just sort of like a medium low, just to get those frozen veggies started warming up. So the next thing that we're going to do is the protein. So this soup has, the way that I make it has, zeroing out my scale, chicken and black beans in it. You can very easily make this with just the black beans, and then use a vegetable broth instead of a chicken broth, and you have a whole food plant-based meal to eat as well. Super easy to convert this to whole food plant-based. So again, we're going to do 6 servings, and we're going to do half of our protein as chicken and half of our protein as black beans. So half of a chicken serving on the weight loss plan for women is 4 ounces. A full protein serving of chicken is 4 ounces, so half of that is 2 ounces. So I'm going to put 2 ounces of chicken in here for each serving. So that means 12 total ounces of chicken. What I have here is just some canned chicken. And you can easily make this with some like leftover grilled chicken breast, or, you know, some shredded rotisserie chicken, whatever you might happen to have. There's 12 ounces. I'm going to throw that in the pot. But as I said, because this started as a, 6-can soup or a 7-can soup, which I don't know if you're familiar with those. Basically what it means is you take 6 or 7 cans, you dump them all into the pot, and there's your dinner. So that's why it's called 6-can soup or 7-can soup. So that's why we started out with the canned chicken. But like I said, you can use any kind of chicken that you like, that works for you or that you happen to have. So now for the rest of our protein. A woman's weight loss serving of beans for protein is 6 ounces. So we're going to do half of our protein as black beans. I have these are a little bit pre-seasoned, these Caribbean black beans they're called, that my grocery store carries. Plain black beans are fine if you have like a Southwest flavor black bean, as long as they don't have any sugar in the ingredients. They're totally fine to use. So we are going to do half of our protein as black beans. So half of each serving will be 3 ounces of black beans for half of your protein serving, times 6 servings in our pot is going to be 18 ounces. So we'll get 18 ounces. I've drained these already, by the way, and I drained the chicken as well. And again, all that detail I'll put in the description when we're done with the live video here. And every once in a while, if you're part of the Bright Line Eating community and you'll see people, maybe, I don't know, I have a Bright Line Eating buddy, and she and I will say, oh, this meal was a fridge clean out. That means that when you have these little leftover bits of beans or chicken or veggies hanging around, you might throw together a compliant meal or bowl out of those leftovers. We call that a fridge clean out. So you might have a little bit left, or got a little black beans left over in that can. It's all right. Put it in the fridge and have it another time in some other meal. So here's my 18 ounces of black beans going in the pot. Okay, let's see. The next thing that we're going to do is sauce. There are a number of free condiments that you can have. You know what? I think I might use a bowl for this. There are a number of free condiments that you can have as part of the weight loss plan, and there's a number of condiments that need to be measured. What I'm going to use in this soup as condiment is chili sauce. I've also made this with like an enchilada sauce, a chili sauce or enchilada sauce. Just check your ingredients that there's not sugar in the first 3 ingredients, and you're good to go. This just adds a little bit of that Tex-Mex flavor and a little liquid into your soup. So what actually, you know what? I think I'm going to grab a measuring cup for this. Not that I'm going to use the measuring cup for my weighing and measuring, but I am going to use it to pour into my pot. It'll just be easier. Even when I'm measuring something in a measuring cup, I still put it on my scale, zero out my scale. And chili sauce or enchilada sauce isn't specifically mentioned, I don't think, in the weight loss plan as how it would fall as a condiment. However, salsa is, and I would consider this fairly similar to salsa. So I wouldn't use more than 2 ounces of this in a meal. So what we're going to do is put in 2 ounces of this per serving. And we're doing 6 servings, so that means 12 ounces. This happens to be a 16-ounce jar. I don't think I grabbed a big enough measuring cup. That's all right. You can measure twice. There's 8 ounces. And we'll do another 4 so that we have our total 12 ounces. Almost there. I don't realize how many sound effects I make when I'm cooking until I watch these videos back to read the comments. Turns out I make some funny noises sometimes when I'm cooking. Who knew? Now I know. All right, so that was our 12 ounces of sauce. Now, let's see. Let's put in the ingredient that I forgot is chicken broth. So I'm going to check in my pantry and see if I have it, and if not, that means it's downstairs, so I'll just add it later. Let me check. Nope, doesn't look like I have any up here, so we'll add that later, but I'll explain to you how to measure and weigh that. So with the chicken broth, what you're going to do is there are a number of FAQs on the Brightline Eating Support Center about how to count broth. And the thing with broth in this dish is we're going to let this simmer for at least 30 minutes, if not longer, preferably like an hour to let it kind of simmer. A lot of that, if you take the cover off especially, a lot of that liquid is going to evaporate. So the weighing and measuring on this will be dividing the whole pot into 6 even portions when we're done. Depending on, you know, exactly how much liquid absorbs or evaporates, it's going to vary a little bit, even from, you know, day to day when you make this, you know, from one time making this recipe to the next time making this recipe, your exact weight on each bowl might vary a little bit. But each time you can always divide this into 6 equal portions and have peace in knowing that you have a full compliant dinner meal. So that said, what I usually do for the broth is I will add in 30 ounces of broth. So that accounts for 5 ounces per serving. 5 ounces of broth per serving here. So 30 ounces of broth I will put in here before I'm done cooking this. But right now, let's move on to the spices. I'm going to put my spices in this little bowl here. I don't know why I zeroed out my scale. You know why? Habit. I'm not actually measuring or weighing my spices. That's not necessary. However, it's habit for me to put something. I do it with my kids' plates too. I'll put a plate down and zero it out. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm not weighing their food. It's just habit. You put the plate on the scale and you zero it out. Okay, so we're going to do chili powder, 4 teaspoons. I just have some regular old chili powder here. 4 teaspoons. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Something that I just lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was going to say. Paprika, 2 teaspoons. I remember now. Something that I have learned is that this recipe, the 6-can chicken soup, originally called for a packet of taco seasoning. Most of your commercial taco seasonings have thickeners in them. I think it was thickeners, cornstarch, might have maltodextrin, things that are not compliant with bright line eating. And so, you know, if you're doing a quick and easy camping meal where you just dump things into a pot, having a pre-measured packet of taco seasoning is pretty convenient. I almost never use pre-made store-bought taco seasoning anymore. I always make my own. I actually keep a container of homemade taco seasoning in my spice cabinet. I like it better that way. This, I'm using smoked paprika. You can use regular paprika or smoked paprika in this recipe. I like the smoky flavor. So that was 2 teaspoons of paprika. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of oregano. If you are in Australia, this is oregano. If you are in Australia, it is also the middle of the night. Let's see, 2 teaspoons of cumin. Okay, let's see, my cumin is almost out, so I'm gonna have to dig down to the bottom here. 1 and 2 teaspoons of cumin. All right, then 2 teaspoons of salt. I personally prefer to use a nice coarse grain of sea salt. If you're trying to lower your salt intake, the salt's probably not really necessary. It could be optional. So there are all of our seasonings. If you want, you can kind of stir that up a little bit just so it doesn't kind of, you know, clump together in the pot. But theoretically at this point you would put your broth in. And you know what? You could actually even use water probably instead of the chicken broth or vegetable broth if you're doing a whole food plant-based. So lovely, lovely seasonings. I'm going to throw this in the pot. Okay, and finally, garlic. This calls for 8 cloves of garlic. I usually buy the pre-minced in the jar type of stuff. And also, I like to be very generous with my garlic because garlic is delicious. So a half a teaspoon is a clove. So that's 1, 2, 3. I'm kind of doing heaping teaspoons. 4 teaspoons would be 8 cloves. And then that goes in the pot. Okay, so that's everything that goes into this soup. It's, like I said, it's really simple. So that is the chicken taco soup. And what I'm going to do is I will add my 30 ounces of broth in there. And then I'm going to let this simmer. I'll cover it, let it simmer for, you know, on like a medium low for at least a half an hour. Might take the lid off depending on how it's looking. Let it simmer for probably a full hour altogether. But this will definitely be ready to eat after like a half an hour. And when it's done, I'm going to divide it up into 6 equal portions. And those portions will be about, like I said, depending on, you know, how much liquid your vegetables absorb, how much liquid evaporates while you're cooking. But if you're thinking 14 ounces of veggies, plus 2 ounces of enchilada sauce, chili sauce, plus 5 ounces of broth, plus, let's see, 2 ounces of chicken and 3 ounces of beans, so 5 ounces of protein, plus 14 ounces of veggies, that comes out to 26 ounces. So it's a big old bowl of soup. What we usually find is that, you know, it cooks down a little bit and you might have a 22 ounce bowl, roughly 22 to 24 maybe. It's a big hearty bowl of soup. But definitely divide it up into those 6 equal portions. What I like to do is get a bunch of containers out, like I've shown on some of my other batch prep videos. Get a bunch of containers out, a couple of scales if you have them. Start divvying it up and just get as close as you can in those 6 containers. And you've got, if there's 2 of you eating, 3 dinners right there made. And, you know, this was pretty simple. We just threw that together in less than a half an hour, and then it's just going to sit on the stove and cook for a little bit. So your dinner consists of 14 ounces of veggies, your protein, and also a fat. So on top of this, you could add 1 ounce of cheese as your fat. Is really delicious with a chicken taco soup. Or you could do 2 ounces of guacamole. You could do something else if you like, but those are 2 options that I personally really like with this soup. Usually I do the 2 ounces of guacamole, and for convenience sake, if you do buy the little tubs of like wholly guacamole, they come in little 2-ounce tubs, so they're pre-measured. Or usually, it's kind of strange, but pretty much always, if you cut an avocado in half, half of an avocado is 2 ounces. So definitely weigh it, but usually, you know, about a half an avocado, unless they're real small, half an avocado comes out to about 2 ounces. So you could definitely put some sliced avocado on top instead of guacamole. So here's what I am going to do. I'm going to, when we're done here, I'm going to post the recipe in the description for all of you. And I'm also going to add my broth into the pot here and let this cook. And then later today, I will share the pictures of what this looks like when it's done. And I will share that on Facebook and on Instagram so that everybody can take a look and see what this looks like when it's done without having to sit here for an hour while it cooks. So let's see. I will also hop into the comments if you had any questions in there that the rest of our team wasn't able to answer during today's live. I will hop into the comments and answer those questions for you later this afternoon. And I think that's everything. So I really hope that you enjoyed this and that you found this helpful. Like I said, check the description for all of those links to the other places that you can connect with us on social media, our Facebook page, our Facebook group, YouTube, Twitter, join our email list, Instagram, and check us out on our new TikTok channel. And let's see, keep your eyes peeled for some Facebook Lives coming up in early to mid-April with Susan Pierce Thompson. That'll be awesome and fun. And I will be back in late April. There was a recipe that we've shared that I came up with for a banana berry oat loaf that has been shared on the Brightline Eating social media recently as a recipe. So I'm going to show you how to make that one when I come back in late April. I'll show you how to make the banana berry oat loaf for breakfast. I think that's everything. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found this helpful, and I hope that you have a beautiful, bright day. Bye.